Drill Core. Dwarf, dig, hole. That's the game and I love it. It's a roguelite game where you are a manager for a drill core. The goal is to get the drill core closer to a planet's core, and then shoot the drill core into the planet core. This will raise the planet's temperature by 5 degrees Celsius and make it nicer to live on. That's not a joke. That's the premise of the game. Gameplay. The drill core platform will drill down closer to the core until it hits a section where you will need to gather coal as fuel, so it can drill down some more. And for that, you have disposable and replaceable minimum wage workers that will happily go into a monster and hazard infested mine to get coal and other materials, like iron and swarmlet, which you use to make buildings. There are a lot, and here's a few examples. The furnace, which will slowly generate iron or swarmlet. A building to make more workers, and one to upgrade your workers so they will be less slow, weak and worthless. Then there's the daytime ability buildings, like a mini drill that will mine 3 blocks for you, which is very useful. If, for example, there is a block that will explode when mined. Using the mini drill can save the money you would have spent replacing the miner that would have drilled it, exploded and died. There's the carrier drones that you activate and they go get materials for you. It's always useful because the worker carriers are always too slow. And a building to manually boost workers. There's also some buildings that passively provide benefits, like a building that will occasionally remove blocks for you, another one that boosts your workers, and one that will repair your core. And that brings us into the night. Every night, aliens will fly down the mine to eat your core. To deal with that, you build turrets and more buildings. That's right, this is a tower defense game. There's a lot of turrets and each has its pros and cons, and there's lots of situational use turrets, like the windshield wipers. Their situational use is any situation. They are great on the frost planets because all the enemies have shields and you need to deal 1 damage to knock off 1 shield. And the wiper knocks the shield off pretty much anything that enters its radius of death. And it's also great on all the other planets because it deals enough damage to kill all the small things. All turrets are useful, but some are more useful than others. Like a turret that boosts the attack speed of all other turrets around them versus a shield turret. The shield turret will create a barrier that the enemies will have to destroy so they can keep moving to your core. This will bunch up all the enemies together, which is pretty much always good. So the shield turret is better, especially if you have explosive turrets or explosive buildings. So you can turn that big blob of enemies into an empty space. Explosive buildings are either active or passive nighttime ability buildings. The passives are usually guns that passively shoot up the mineshaft or a ball that travels up and then back down, damaging anything in its path. Or a couple of dwarf dudes that fly up in the mine and shoot everything. Actives are pretty much the same thing, except you aim and activate them. Like a laser, attack drones, guns or missiles, stunner, or wind that blows them back up. That also has a turret version. Or an orbital bombardment. And many more. A lot of my runs have been saved by getting good nighttime abilities, because they shore up my weaknesses or they are just that good. Your travel down to the core is measured in days, and each night that passes, the waves that get sent at you get stronger. That means different enemy types and even bosses, and each of them is a unique challenge that is reflective of the other enemies on that planet. It's a good change of pace and a curveball for your defense, and it's satisfying to beat. It's also a great ego boost if your defense is so good that the boss doesn't even make it down to the core. And that mostly covers the nighttime wave defense without spoiling too much. Bottom line is that it has a good variety in enemies and the defenses, like turrets to deal damage or manipulate the flow of enemies. Now let's get back to the mine.
Block goes crunch, me goes happy!
The mine is a little more chill, but you need to manage it. You just click some blocks and your miners will mine that block. And if minerals fall out of it, then your carriers will bring that back to the core. But you have to think about where you mine, because some blocks will explode or fall down if there's no block underneath. There are blocks that shoot lava or frost or suck your employees into some black hole. Or just keep spawning new blocks, and that's why you can double-click blocks to prioritize them, so you can destroy them before they become a problem. And that's where the monsters in the mine come in, because they usually spawn as or in blocks. There could be a monster spawner that just puts monster eggs into blocks that will hatch unless you destroy those blocks. And there are some monsters that spawn if you destroy too many of a certain block. That's why you hire a few guards to kill the monsters, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Usually, your workers cannot be in the mine at nighttime, because of the worm infestation. Why does every other game I like include worms? The worms eat your workers, which is not a good use of company funds, which is why you have the retreat button, which also ends the day in case you were done with the mine section and want to move on. You can also make individual workers run away strategically and work despite the worm threat. But I'm not that good at micro, so I don't do that. The mine is pretty chill, but it gives you enough to keep your noggin jogging at least a little bit.
Dwarves, it's time to evacuate from the platform and blow the core. We have mined this planet well.
This is a roguelite. That's apparent because you get currency as a reward for your drill contracts, which you spent on upgrades. Stuff like making your guards all go to a place you click, or making workers spawn faster, or the core picking up all the minerals that weren't collected under it in a mine section, or more technology capsules in a level, which by the way is the thing that you get different turrets or buildings from during your contracts. So the stuff you can build is randomized, but you can ban certain stuff during your contract, so you'll only see it once, but it is mostly random luck of the draw, which makes each new contract different from the previous. But you do start with default stuff depending on your drill platform. There are 3 drill platforms.
Let's dig into this.
Humans, I think. They are pretty basic, just normally drill stuff. A fair number of workers have normal guns as turrets and have the factory that produces iron and swarmlet for you. Next one.
Nothing like the smell of fresh explosives in the morning.
Dwarves. They explode. Literally. That is how they mine. They explode and that deals damage to blocks in 4 directions around them. So placement matters, so that you don't break the wrong block, and so you can get the most out of each explosion. They also have a factory, but it progresses only when you break blocks. They have rockets and mortars as turrets, and the guards actually shoot the nighttime enemies.
Oh, this one screams when I bite it!
The last is the Swornid. They have the same vibe as the Zerg, and you cannot tell me that the manager voice there is not supposed to be Kerrigan.
The foolish creatures come, driven by night. Protect our hive.
The workers caused a constantly regenerating larva, so they are kinda meant to die. Workers even leave a buff cloud for other workers if they die, if you buy that upgrade. They don't mine as efficiently as the humans, but there are a lot more of them and far easier to replace. Their turrets are lasers and an egg hatcher that creates a flying unit that shoots dudes. And that about covers every aspect of the game. Story. So there kinda is a story here, but it's all emails, and I barely read my real life emails. But it's mostly like conspiracy emails about whether the whole drill core thing is actually a reality TV show to entertain rich people or something. Like they set the whole company up and everything so rich people could watch poor people do menial labor and then get eaten by aliens. And you can immediately dismiss that theory as there are no children involved. Conclusion. Drill Core is awesome. It is both engaging and chill. It has been my go-to for a couple hours of relaxation for the past month. A low-stress strategy game, but it's not brain-dead easy. Sure, it doesn't test your reaction span, but it tests your decision-making. Building the best stuff based on the random stuff you get. And building your platform preset to stack the odds in your favor. Okay, fine, it's just gambling and I'm an addict, but it's really good. There are also these qualifications or challenges, and they just force a restriction on you, and so you have to really think and plan how you're gonna do that and still survive. Because the waves can hit you really hard if you make the wrong decision. Sound work is also really good. The guns, explosions, lasers and the sound of blocks breaking. I recommend the game. It is a big time sink. Like a single contract has taken me 2 hours more or less. But you can speed the game up at will. It is just really satisfying to full clear a mining section, and it's really satisfying when you manage to build a great defense. I thoroughly enjoyed drilling massive holes into planets and watching aliens melt themselves on my defenses. I can't really think of any negatives except I need more upgrades and platforms to spend my currency on. Give me more, out of 10. Subscribe, call me Uncle Brian, and have an awesome day.